Right, so we want to create this here, have all of this displayed here, then apply JavaScript. So we already have this. So what we need to now do is create a product array. Now this is product array, and we have list of 8 products. So each of these items being shown here is a product, it's an object, each of these. So this like objects, product image, product name, price, the rating, and you can add and subtract to this product quantity. All right, so you can see each of these are objects. So each of these objects actually are placed inside an array. An array method can be used to iterate on the array and display them on the pages. So that's the way we did on this one. So you can see these ones here. I'm going to repeat the same thing here. The only difference that this is an object. So this is the object array we have. So we have each of these objects here. So I prepared 8 of them. So and I've exported them. So you can see I exported this. Now my HTML file, I have these scripts, jumia.js, these scripts here, and it's a type of module so that I can import other JavaScript files into it. So you can see the JavaScript files I imported. I've imported menu list, categories, and then this is product, this one here. This or the other ones I exported, they're here. Alright, so I'm going to be creating a function called generate product. This function has been invoked already down here. Alright, so I'll simply write a function that make it possible for these items to display using JavaScript, raw JavaScript. So what I'm going to do here is create a for loop. So let me use an array method. So I will say product, this product that I exported here. Remember I exported this product and I imported this product here. So this product is simply the array. If you console log this product, console.log product, when you check it, you will see the product. These are the products. You can see each of these products are objects. So these are the objects. You can see these are the objects. So because they are objects, so I can remove this one. So I can use an array method on it because it's an object array. So I'm using for each. So for each we contain item, then index. Item, this is the individual items, then index. Then if you console.log item, what you're going to see is the individual objects on the array. So if you check this out, you can see each of those objects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each of those objects are here. So look at them here. So what that means is that I can say item.name if I want to get all the names of the items one after the other. So if I console log that and check it out, you can see each of the items names are listed here. So now that I have access to this product using this array method, I can iterate and perform some action on them. So the first thing I will be creating are the elements. So let's create out the elements, all the elements. Let's create out all the elements. So you can say let's product name elements. Product name element can be document dot create element. So I'm creating an element, and the element I'm creating is p tag because all of these are text. So this is a p tag, this is a p tag, this is a p tag, this is an image tag, this is a p tag, this is a button tag, and this is a button tag. So let's create all of these tags. So let's product, what do we need? Product price element. So it's going to be document dot create element. We're also creating a p tag. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The p tags we're creating are the p tags, the elements, p tags, divs, image. You can create them using this method. Products, we need quantity element. So this is going to be document dot create element. It's also going to be a p tag. So now we have image. This is an image, so we will be creating an image tag. So let's select product image element. So we're going to say equals to documents dot create elements. We are targeting image. Good. So you can see you can create all kinds of elements. All HTML elements can be created. Now we need to create this one. Selection is also a p tag. So let's product selection element equals to documents dot create element. This is going to be a p tag. So what else are we creating? What else am I going to create? The button tags. So let's create a button. So let's product subtract btn elements equals to documents dot create element is going to be a button. So let's create the final element, which is so a button. So create, let's product addition btn elements equals to documents dot create elements. It's going to be a button. Now we have this. Let's move on. Now that we have all of these elements created, it's time to create the content inside this element. All of these are tags, the p tags, image tag, and the button tag. So we need to create values. We need to input values for this element. And to do that, we have to use the new method I'm introducing here. I've always been using the create node, but the set attribute is another method that can be used. So I go on to say product name, text content. Let's use text content to apply the text that will be needed for this element. Remember, this product name element is simply the p tag housing all the product names. All right, so it's going to be equals to item dot name. That's what it simply means. So the next line is product price element. Product price element is going to be the text content is going to, now instead of doing initially what I taught my students is you could say you could create another let variable, let product name node equals to documents dot create text node. Then you can apply the item dot name in it. Then you can append this product node into the product element. Okay, but that will be longer. We have a lot of elements we're dealing with, so we could just directly set the items values directly from here, then append this into the div that we need them to work on. Okay, so next is product elements, product price elements. Product price elements can be this dot text content. It's a nav method you can use to assign values. So I'm just saying that this element that I've created, which is a p tag, assign a value for it. Text contains a method, assign a value to it called item price. That's all. So we also need to assign value for product quantity element. Product quantity element is this dot text content equals to item dot quantity. All right, so another thing we need to assign value for is product image. Product image, we are going to be using a set attribute. Set attribute with type we are looking for a SRS. We are setting attribute. Look at image. When you look at image here, look at image has an attribute called SRC, and this is the SRC that get the value, the path to the image. So the SRC will simply be item dot image. So each of the image parts, these are the image parts. Remember, all the images are in the same folder with my GS data.js and gmail.js. They are all in the same folder. So just simply mentioning a name, product one, product two. Actually assign each of those product item, each of these image parts into the product image element. So SRC is the attribute I'm looking for, and I'm passing this value for SR. So you provide set attribute, you provide the type of attribute you want to set, and the value that you're expecting. So I'm setting SRC on each of the items here I'm creating. I'm adding the values to each of the items here. So it's at the first iteration, it will add this, second iteration, it will add this, third iteration, it will add this, to add this. These are the image parts until it complete the 8 iterations. All right. So I've added for image. All right. So I could just make it clear and say add values. I can here say create HTML elements. Good. So now we've done image selection. Product selection is actually a p tag, so we could just directly say dot text content, and we are saying that is equals to, for selection element, is equals to 0, and initial value is okay. Initial value is 0. Remember that selection is actually what I'm using to represent this. I'm using it to represent this, so it should just start from 1 at default value. All right, so what else? These are the button element. The button element can as well use set attribute. Okay. All right, we can also use text content for this to assign the value that we want. This is for subtraction bit here, so it's going to just have this as a value. Product addition element dot text content is for the addition, is going to have this plus sign. So we have assigned all the values for the elements we have. All the elements we have, we've assigned values for them. So it's time to create classes. Let's create classes. Because we want to style the image. So let's create a value, a class, a custom class name for image, so we can style it on our CSS. Now to do that, we can simply use a set attribute again. Pro.image. Let's look at the pro.image. Okay, product image elements. So for the product image element, we can say product element dot set attribute. We can call the class. The type is class, where here we set an attribute of SRC. Here we set an attribute of a type of class. So there are different types when you're using set attributes. You can browse more about them to see the different types that you can set. When you set it, the next value is the value of whatever you're setting. So what I'm saying is that set attribute of a type class, and I'm passing the class name that I want. So I'm calling custom image, custom product image. All right, that is the class name. So with it, I can style the image targeting the image values from here. So let me go down to the CSS. I can actually style it from here. Made on CSS. I can style it from here. What else we need to give special class to? We need to give class to the button. So let's look at the products here. So do this dot set attributes. We are targeting class. We can also use the previous one we've done before, class list dot add. Just add the class name. So we call it products, custom products btn tag. So that is for subtraction btn. So let's look at addition btn. The addition btn, you can say, and as well use set class, set attributes, then of a type class, and we want to give the same constant name, this one. So that is it. What else we need to set class name for? We also need a div where all of this would sit, and that div will now sit inside here. Let's look at this. This is what we are working with. So all of these contents are going to sit here, but each of these items sitting here is going to be a div. So the div is housing each of these items. So if you look at it here, this is a div housing the image, the name, the amount, the star rating, all of this item. Now that div is also sitting inside a single div. This is the div. This single div would collect all of the items inside a single div here, then they will be displayed here. Now look at it here. So I'll have to create another custom div. So can say let products let's custom product div equals to document dot create element, and this time we are creating div. So obviously this div would house all of these elements, all of them, and this div will now be appended to this div here. So that's it. We want to give this div a class name because we have to ensure that this has a special class CSS styling. So see this dot class list dot add. So we are saying that the class name should be custom product div. So we've created all the classes that we need to start with CSS. So what is the next thing we need to do? We need to append every of this item already have values here. So every of these items, since they do not have value, we now need to append them into this div. This div is housing all of them. Now this div will be appended to this div. All right. So to do that, instead of manually doing something like this, let's say append inject element into a div, child div. Now we are supposed to do something like custom product div dot append child. We now need to append each of these child. So we do product elements. Then we can do custom dot append child, and we can look for product price elements. This is what we are supposed to do. So we have to do them one after the other. But I think it's a little bit stressful doing that. So one of the best way you can do is create an array. To create an array, so let's call this let element array equals to an empty array at the beginning. Now at this point, since all the elements have been created, I can add all the elements into it. So element array equals to an array that contains product element, contains product name, contains product quantity, product quantity, product image be added, product selection elements should be added, product selection elements, product btn, and the final product addition btn. So you can see all of these are now inside an array. So since they are inside an array, I can use an iteration method to iterate this array and append just once instead of writing multiple append. So I can just say I can use a for loop. So I can say let I equals to 0, I is less than, I'm looking at element array dot length, and I'm saying I plus plus. So I increased by 1. So here I'm now saying, so I can now do custom product div dot append child. Now is going to be each of these items. Look at these items. These are all the elements that we created, right? So very easy. You can just say element array, then I. So each of the items here, just get them and append. So this way I just wrote one append instead of writing multiple append. All right. So this way I've done this. So now I also need to append this array into this custom div. Now this custom div has been imported. This is it. Or has been accessed with a value document or get element by ID. Now this is the ID. That is it. So I can just get this value, come down to the JavaScript code here. This is where I need to now append. I need to append this custom div into this. This is why you'll be able to see it. So if I do custom dot append child, custom this content display div is this, then I say append child, and I will append custom div into it. All right, so once you've done this, let's check this out on the code and see. So you can see, beautiful, they are all here. All the products are here. You can see them. They're all here. Okay. All right, so let me look at this. All right, so it is now time for me to start styling this. So what the first thing I need to style? The first thing I need to style is that I need to make this a grid. Look at this. This is the class name, right? So I need to be sure I don't have it here. So it's here. So I need to now style it. This is the content display div, this one, which is what is housing this custom product div. All right, so it has to be of a display type of grid. All right, for now the images are so big, so they are actually distorting everything. So I need to reduce these images. So I have a class for image, custom product div. So let's see if we can have access to this. This is the class name that I added for image. So I can style this class name and say, let's just see if it is working. 0 pixel. Okay, good. You can see it's working. So now we can now style this image and say image width should be, let's look. Now before we do that, let's style the div itself. The div here, custom product div. We need to style it. So let's style it up here. That's the div that is housing all the elements. So we can style the div and say each of the divs are 33%. So we'll say width 33%, height, we want the height to be 400 pixel. All right, something like this. So let's see. So the images, we want the image to have 100%. Good. So having 100% of the div. All right, so here we can say the height for the image should be probably 100 pixel. 100 pixel. Image height must have reduced. Now this it has reduced. Well, that is too short. We need something a little bit longer, so we can say 300. So let's look at it. 300. I think this is fair. So this 300. Then the custom div, this custom div is going to be a display of flex, display of flex. So it's going to be display of flex. All right, flex direction is going to be column. So it all flow down. Obviously, you can see them flowing down. Nice. So we're still going to start them. So we want them to be in grid. Just the way it's showing here. We want them to be in grid. So all right, so it needs just column, not row. Grid column, not row. So let's look at the background color and see what's going on here. Okay, so we can make this with 100%. Then we are giving each of the grid 33%. So the div itself, the custom div, as of this element should be 100%. So I can occupy these spaces here. You can see occupying these spaces. However, we want the image element to come first. So please ensure that the grid display is grid. We'll be using flex. We use grid. So grid, when you call grid, you can specify how many grid you want. So we have wanted 3 grids. That's why I did it this way. Same thing as writing. So this is how you can just write it as repeat. So instead of writing it one by one, you can just write it here. Here it shows the number of times you want, number of grid you want, and this is the size you're looking for. So 1 hour is simply like saying 100%. So when you do that, you see your grid is going to take up to 100%, leaving more spaces here. You can see the items here. But if you do it 33%, I always like using 33%. I have these sizes. Okay, so these sizes are okay. All right, so we have 1 2 3 1 2 3, then 6. If we want to make it more evenly, we can just create additional products here to generate the 8 nights products. Television system. This is for television, and so we now have complete. So complete 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So say 9. So I can find image for the TV. Image smart TV. Let me get an image for the TV. So I can download the image. I can save it where I'm saving all of these images, and it should be product 9. So let's just rename it product 9. All right, so now we have that. So we can change this one to product 9, the last one we imported. So that's it. If we go back to our Jumia app, we can see the TV here. Good. So now when you look at it this way, you can see that the images should come first, just the way it is here. Image comes first, name comes second, price comes third. Then if you look at this, these ones are in the same line. However, they're not in the same line here, but we'll achieve that. We need to create a div here, assign these images, this element into it. So let's do that. When we come here, we have a lot of things to do. When we come here, you can see that we need to create the image first. So to create the image first, when you come here, product name was mission first. So get product image should come first. So we have product image here. Product image came first. After product image, what came the next is the product name. Good. So we have this product image, product name. After product name, what came next? We have the price, product image, product name, product price. Good. Quantity, is here. However, we don't want quantity to show, so we can assign a class name to quantity and hide it from the screen, because we want to use it to perform some JavaScript function. So for quantity, we're going to hide it. Selection should come in between. Products, subtraction and addition. So the way they are positioned on the array is actually how they will be listed out for you. The way they are positioned on the array is how they'll be listed out for you. So when you go back here, you can see image is now false. The name is now second. Price, this. We are still coming to this. So to achieve this, we need to create a div, then append this into the div, append this to the div, append this to the div, give the div a class name, then style it using flex. Very simple. So let's do that. We go back to our code. We need to create a custom div at this level. Say custom selection btn div. So this handles the div for the document dot create element. We're going to be creating a div. We are going to give it a class name. We are going to do that on class name. On class name, we are going to copy this div and give it a class name. So let's give it dot set attribute. We're going to be setting attribute of class. The value is the class name itself. So say custom selection btn div. That is the class name. So now we need to append all of these elements. So append, let's start with this, or because we want to append this ones first. So append this first. So it's going to be custom selection btn dot append child. We are going to write it one after the other, append child for, but we just have two. Okay, we have three elements to append into this. So we're going to write it 3 times, but I think that is overkill. We could just create an empty array like we did here. Let's selection btn array, create a new array equals to an empty array, and we are coming here to add all of those array into this. So say selection btn array equals to, we are changing the value of the array here. So we want to take in the product selection elements. This product selection elements, product selection element is the text itself, but to be sure how we are doing it, we want to add the subtraction button first, because if you look at it here, what came first is the subtraction button, then select the quantity number, then the addition button. So to do that, we're going to repeat the same thing. We're going to add the btn first, the subtraction btn first. This is it, subtraction btn. That's the first. The next is going to be the, let me reduce this. So next is going to be the product selection, the text itself. Then the last is going to be product addition element. This one, that's the last one, that's this one. All right, so now we have this in the array. So we need to also loop into it. Let's loop into it or iterate it. So I use for each, which, because this is an array, so I use a for each, which is an array method, to iterate it, so I can perform the action I want to perform. The action I simply want to perform is this custom selection div. I just simply want to use it to do append child. And what am I appending? I'm just appending item into it. The item is just the individual items inside this array. So it's going to append all of these items. Then this custom selection div is now going to be part of the array that we appended to this one, and this one will be appended to this one, which is the mother div here. All right, so you can see we now have this item here. That's what we're looking for, right? So now we have this. So we have a class name for it. So let's get this class name. Let's go to jumia.css. So we have this class name. This class name is for this div. There's a div that is housing this subtraction button, this displaying contents that display the quantity you're selecting, and this that displays this addition for the button. But you can see they are not well, so they are not sitting well. I have to use display of flex and make it flex row so that they cannot sit properly. Yeah, so come here and do display flex, and we are going to say flex direction. It's going to be row, and we're going to do justify content. It's going to be center. All right, so you can see they're now sitting well. Perfect. We need to give the div a width of 100%. 100%. Right, so if we do background color red, that will give you a picture where the you can see he's here, seated here. Perfect, that's good. So now we'll be able to style that. What is the next thing to style? The next thing to style, we've styled image, we've added this div here, so we need to style the buttons. We have a custom name for the button. Let's look. Okay, this is the button, custom button. Let's get it sorted out. Custom button, and we are targeting padding. The first one is the top, so we will be saying 10 pixel. The next one is the right, so the right will say 40 pixel. The next one is bottom, we say 10 pixel, and the last one is left, we say 40 pixel. So when we are done with that, you can see the buttons now have class. Okay, all right, so we can reduce the to 30, so the width can reduce. Good, it's reduced now. What else? You can see the color here, so let's give the background color. Look at the background color, it's going to be this color. Okay, good. We can see it has line there, so we can remove the line and say border none, outline none. So you can see the outline have been removed. The color of the text, the color is going to be white. You can see the colors have changed. I want to increase the font size of the item. In the font size should be probably 20. Let's try 20 pixel. Okay, good. It's okay. We need to style this one here, and at the same time we don't want to give them too much space. All right, so we can have this at the beginning, have this here. So if we want to do that, we can use the div that is housing custom button selection div. This div that is housing these three items. You can see these three items. So instead of using justify content center, you can use justify content space between. Space between will separate all of them. Yes, you can see they are all well selected, they are all well separated. And we want to use item center. Item, align item center. So item should be aligned center wise, so you can see it's now fitting on properly. Now we'll go back here, exactly what we are looking at. So we want to add, look at it, there's a border shadow. So let's go to the shadow, CSS shadow. So let's choose one here. Okay, so I think I like this one, so just copy it. It should be on the button. This is the button tag, so just add the CSS shadow to it. When you do that, you can see your buttons now have this shadow, which is very nice. Right, so let's make it look having cursor that is clickable. So what next we need to do is come here and say cursor pointer. This way we'll come here, we can have this having this pointing effects. So you can see how we've styled all of these items now. We can style them. These are the important ones we've styled. Let's look at this. Okay, we need to style, we need to give them some spaces. Look at these spaces here. All right, so to give that spaces, we need to target the div housing all of this. The div housing all of this is this particular div at the top level here, this div at the top level, custom div, this one. Let's find the custom name, the class name. This is the class name. So let's find it here. Okay, good. So here we can say margin top. So we say margin top is 10 pixel. That is because we want to give this little space here. Okay. Good. So looks like what we have here. We have so many things we can do. However, I want to separate this like this. So there is a div here. So let's give that div a class. This is the custom selection div. So let's give it a margin top to separate a little bit, 10 pixel. So it could move down a little from the rest of this. All right, it could be too much because of the size, the height of the. So I could increase the height of the parent div to 450. Good. So good. Or something maybe like 430. All right. Good. So the next thing we need to do now is style this and bring them down. Now we want the same text styling for all of them. All of them should have the same text styling. So let's add the class name to the text. So what is handling the text? If you look at it here, this handling the text. So let's set an attribute for the p tags so we can separate it a little bit. For the name, they all need to have little space. The product name can under the class, this is where we add classes. So we can say product dot set attribute is looking for class, is the type, attribute type is class. Then I'm giving a class name called custom text tag products tag. All right, so now we have this tag, we can simply style it, this class. So we can simply style it. We can style it and say margin top is 10 pixel. That way we can move this a little. Yes, we have separated that. That little space we wanted here is here. So next thing we want to do is add font family. For me, I don't have special. Arial is okay. You can see it has changed. However, we want all of this to have the same text effects. All right, so let's look at the font size. Font size, let's go for 10 pixel. It has reduced, so let's go for 15 pixel. Good. So let's add margin top to this other one so they can have a little separation from the rest. Okay, so to do that, we can create another class for price. We have price, product price. This is product price. Just set attributes. We are going to just copy the same style, same class style for it. So you can see this now has little space from this one as well. Then we need a class for this, but we don't want this to be showing. We can create a class name for it, and which is quantity, product quantity. So we need to create a class, a different class name for it, so we can hide it. So we can do this dot class list. You can add class with this as well, and we call this custom quantity tag. So this custom quantity tag, we want to hide it from display so that it wasn't there in Jumia. So you can do display none. this way, you can see the quantities out because the quantity is not here. You don't see it. We will use code to find it. Okay, so we are done with the HTML part. We are done showcasing this. Now it's time to add some JavaScript to it. All right, and the first JavaScript we want to add is, if you look at this, when you go here, it's became bigger. You can see bigger, 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 bigger. So we actually want this selection to be 1. So let's be sure text selection contents. So we want it to be 1. So by default, all the items are 1. On the next video, I'll be adding a JavaScript to all of this. JavaScript to increase the, when you hover on it, it increases. When you hover out, it decreases. And when you click on this button, you increase the number count on the cards, and we decrease, it decreases. And we also takes consideration of the quantity. So these are what we'll be doing on the next video, and stay in touch for the next video.